Welcome to Sage Sisters. We are sisters, besties, moms, and co-founders having a fun catch-up on parenting and life. Hey, I'm Ann.
And I'm Kate. Hi, everyone. Ann, good to see you. Happy to be podding today.
I'm excited to be potting. You were out of town for a couple of days, so it feels like we haven't connected in a while. So it's nice to connect here.
Well, why don't we tee it up and then get into the highs and lows? You're up this week with the topic. What did you bring for us today?
I'm very excited about this topic because it reminds me of our last business we did together, which was kind of just a fun hobby business, but it was Indris Interiors. And so I wanted to bring some of our time from that together and tips and tricks for ways to re-energize your space with design, whether it be big projects to very small projects to even free ways to redo your space. You're so good at it. I love the organization side. So I thought it would be fun here to kind of just talk about the design and what you can do to kind of re-energize your space.
A little home sweet home. Epi.
That's right.
Okay, good.
Phil and I always joke, I think now because we're Sage Haven, but our safe haven is our house. And we say it all the time now. And it's like, it just
Did
feels.
You say it before we named the company?
No, I don't know. It feels like that's not us.
Okay.
But the older I get, the more I do feel like our house is our sanctuary. We spend a lot of time here. I like investing in it. And it's just kind of like fun to mix it up a little bit. So,
well, I think this time of year too, I notice I'm thinking about it. So I think the timing, again, like spring clean, going into summer where you know you're going to be at your house a bunch.
Yes.
Maybe I'm just getting sick of stuff too. I'm feeling itchy to change some stuff. So this is good vibes on my end. I like it.
Yeah, good. So I'm
super
excited.
Before we get there though, let's do the usual.
Well,
what's your high?
My high is a little bit to do with the topic today. Since I chose it, it was on my mind. Okay. But I have been in a power washing state of mind. Do you have a power washer?
No, but I borrow my neighbor's a good amount and then I don't return it for a long period of time.
It is so gratifying.
What do you power wash in the outdoor furniture and stuff?
Yeah. So I went out and I did the whole back patio, furniture, cushions, and I just like cleaned up the whole space outside. And it is just like when you get started, it kind of feels overwhelming. And then you start to see the like, whatever it is, the dirt, the mold, the old things go away.
Oh, I bet your cleaning OCD really scratches that itch.
It was like Phil came out a few times and he was like, are you okay? Like you're still out here? And I couldn't stop, and then I was like, should we do our fence?
Now I'm imagining you with like, power music, power washer.
I had a podcast in. I've been listening to the Karen Reed trial.
Oh, I knew you would get into that.
I know. I've kind of like went down rabbit holes on social media and then
neck deep in it.
Totally. And the podcast, I don't usually like true crime. I can't even talk. True crime podcast.
Got it.
But this one got marketed to me and I started listening and I'm all in. So I was like heavy into this Karen Reed podcast, power washing the shit out of my back porch.
It's definitely hot. It's everywhere right now. And all the parents were talking about it at the baseball game last week. So,
well, I like a good, like, did that happen or not? Like a good conspiracy theory. And there's some really crazy stories they're throwing out that like could be possible. And it's like, maybe, I don't know. Tell me about it. So
totally. Yeah. It's a juicy one for sure.
Yeah. So anyways,
so you got true crime in the ears. You got power washing. Now, are you doing cushions? Are you doing outdoor rugs? Like what? Where
I did it all. I did it all.
What didn't you do?
That's
are you doing fence and like that kind of stuff or more upholstery?
I almost moved to fence. So I did our whole back patio flooring, like the whole back patio. Then I moved to the cushions and the like chairs and all that stuff.
Do you have an outdoor rug? Because that is the most satisfying power wash ever because it gets dirty.
Yeah.
And then it like comes back almost to like brand new.
Well, the one that was outside, we tossed because it was just too far gone because it's been really soggy. Okay. But I have two in our back porch that's screened in and it's my favorite place of the house. And I took those two out and it was a similar feeling because they get dirty. And I don't know, like Phil was literally checking on me. Like, are you okay? Like, are you still out here? And then I was like, what if we did the fence? What if we did? And he was like, you got to control yourself, woman. Like, get a grip. And I couldn't stop. So it was a high for me. Maybe scared my husband.
Well, he knows. I've seen you magic erase walls kind of with that same intensity.
Well, then I took the magic eraser to the inside of the porch.
There we go.
That's when
I
I
knew
think
that
it went too
was, yeah.
far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely went
Yeah.
to the dark side.
I did. It was so good.
Well, good for you getting ready for summertime.
Mhm. What's your high this week?
Well, you mentioned it. I have been gone, but I had the best trip back to the homeland, back to Indiana.
Evil,
I
baby.
joined the board of a company there, and one of the reasons I did it was to have an excuse to go visit our parents more.
Love
So I decided to take my daughter out of school for a couple days. Sorry, school.
It's the
But
end of year.
one-on-one time with the grandparents, it's so good.
It really is.
And she was just lapping it up. She got to travel with me solo. So she thought she was hot shit with her luggage and, just two girls on a business trip. Her
Well,
vibe
and
was
she's
cracking me up.
older now, so she's easier to travel with, I imagine. So
She's
it's
the
kind of
best.
fun. Yeah.
One thing I learned about her is, I get on a moving vehicle that has like a little bit of motion. I'm out. Narcolepsy just kicks in. I sleep the whole time. She does too. So we are great travel companions.
I'm glad you didn't get your stuff stolen because you guys were just knocked out the whole time sleeping.
Yeah. The only thing that is a little challenging is she's like, "Can I please sit in the window seat?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll sit in the middle and coach." Cool.
You sacrificed. That's love right there.
It's love. If that's not parental love, I don't know what is.
Mm-hmm. Although you can heavy lean on her that way, like put your feet that way a little bit, probably. Mm-hmm. But
when I put my bag also under her chair so that I had a little more space, but
yeah,
it's love. I'm going to take full credit.
Yeah, no, I give you full credit. That's a lot.
So it was great. And then our mom is the cutest, but she had like repaired her sewing machine and like had it all ready. So the big project was she took Grace to the fabric store and they picked out stuff to make a pillow and sewed a pillow in one day while they were there. So
that's really cute and probably a skill set that that's like about where I'd be able to do, like start is a pillow.
Well, the only thing that I was like, okay, cool. Now I have to learn how to do this sewing machine because she now wants one for her birthday.
Yeah. I've talked about this on the pod before where I send everything to my mother-in-law because she's such a good sewer and she sews everything. And now I feel like I need a sewing machine. I should learn. Yeah. I don't know.
Tell me you're middle age without telling me you're middle age.
I know, right?
Looking up YouTube videos how sewing machines work, but we had a great time, and plus we got to spend time with our older sister's family, and I feel like we got really good visit time with them.
That's great. Yeah, only having
great meals,
even just Grace, not even Calvin the sibling. It's kind of nice for Grace to have that one-on-one with the cousins. That's cute.
She was eating up the spotlight. Yeah. So I think, and Cal was devastated that we didn't take him. So for a while I was regretting it and like, oh gosh. But I was so proud of the little guy. He came back. He said, "I don't think this is fair that she gets to go first." And I said, "Baby, I'm so sorry. She's older, but I'll take you next time." Yeah. And he came back and he goes, "Well, I think I should get 2 and 3 and she should get 1 and 4 like a snake draft." And I was like, good for you, dude. You're right. Yeah. That is more fair and that's what we'll do. So
that's
I'm sure
good for him.
I agree. He stood up for himself. He came up with a creative solution and I agreed. So, but he even last night we got home, he was missing us and Chris let him sleep in my spot in the bed while I'm gone, which is sweet.
Well, and I'm sure the boys had fun, like even if they were just
golfing
doing
on Sunday and did some special thing. Again, one-on-one time I think really is so important.
Totally.
But he came in late last night and he said, "How many days till I get to go?" And I was like, "Oh, you're going to break my heart."
Yeah.
So like I'm going to take him next
countdown.
No, it's like, I told him 3 months, 90 days. So it was cool. Sweet though. So I'm excited to take him next time and like kind of run that special time back.
It's cool.
Very cool. So that was my high. What was your low?
My low was kind of a follow-up to my high, which is after I did a bunch of cleaning, I was doing laundry. So I just threw in a bunch of these towels and like these, the car wash soak, like towel hand, like you put your hands in them and they're like, it helps like wash your car.
Kind of.
Yes. And it like soaks up the water a lot.
Okay.
I was using those at one part cleaning the back porch.
Okay.
And I threw those into the wash, not thinking. I opened the wash and set it up. Like there was like soap that I was using that wasn't supposed to be in the washer. Suds were falling out. Like, when
because they had the soap in the
Yes. I didn't
like a
even think
sponge.
about
You
it.
wash sponges basically.
Yeah, I washed sponges, and it just sudded up the entire
Did you
washer.
ruin it, or was it fine?
I was kind of worried, so it was coming out, and so of course you're like, oh my
Like
gosh,
the
what do I
movies,
do?
it was starting to like foam out the front.
Yes, it was.
Funny.
So then, and I have a front facing, so like you open it up from the front. So I was like Googling, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do I do? So, anyways, at the end, after like a couple other tries of things, I put in a cup of vinegar. And then I know vinegar is so good. And then I just did the rinse and spin cycle where it's like a 15-minute quick rinse and spin.
Okay.
Got rid of all of it. Insane. It was like it didn't even happen. When you're like, I'm going to be cleaning this up for days.
Mm-hmm.
Vinegar hack. I had to say it here, but I did think I broke my washer. So that was my low because I was like panicked. Like,
speaking of broken appliances, what's the update on the deer fridge?
Still have it. We just don't open the freezer. So I cleaned out the whole freezer. Nothing's in it. We just don't open it right now. And we're using the bottom part of the fridge until
the fridge on the bottom, and you just refuse to open the top.
100%.
Oh, that's not long for this world, though.
No. So eventually we'll replace it. But as we get into it later today, we have other projects that are taking like priority, which I'm excited about.
Replacing a garage fridge is the lamest of projects.
So lame. So like I'm just kind of like, just don't open the freezer. Don't do anything. It still kind of smells, but not too much. Like it's good enough. And like in a couple weeks from now, we're just going to toss it.
Woof.
I know. So it's gross. Anyways, what's your low?
Well, as good as the trip is, the work has continued to pile up.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a few of the most important calls Monday. So I did a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, the board meeting is work, but not for our company. So then the work piles up. And it's like, we're just at this stage, which I have to take a deep breath. I'm like such a masochist to go back to ground zero here where we have 5 full-time employees and a handful of part-time. And it's like, there's just so much freaking work to do.
Yes.
So even taking a little bit of time, half days, and like, it's like the work feels like I am drowning right now.
Yeah.
And I did, I started to use Calendly. There's a couple of these, but they're basically like hey, here's my availability. And it syncs all my calendars and shows the slots that are available.
Yeah.
And I have learned some tricks the hard way with that, but I had not set any buffer time. I just said, hey, here's my availability for different things.
Yeah.
So I came back, and you kind of get surprised by your schedule because you're like, oh, what did people book? I'm like, every fucking 30 minutes on the dot, I have another meeting the next couple of days, like into early next week. And I was like, oh, I have no time to do the other stuff that got backed up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like
work,
going. I'm just like going.
Calendly,
so I came back and my calendar was like Sunday scaries.
Yeah. Calendly is so great for not having to go back and forth, but you have to set up the default, and you have to set up the buffers, and you have to set up the personal stuff. Like
you can't miss a pickup.
You can't miss a pickup. You can't miss. I even am going to like go for a walk because, whatever
you have to block out your workout time. Otherwise it will get messed up.
So what I started to do when I was in sales, we used Calendly, and clients could just book you anytime.
Yeah.
It would be so overwhelming. I used to just pick like 10 to 1 or 12 to 4, whatever it was for the day, and just kind of kept that consistent for those types of calls. And then I would leave it open for when I wanted to actually book a call with a client myself or whatever, and internal calls. So you do have to be tight with it, but it's nice.
So I went in today and changed some settings. I learned some things the hard way there. But the next, today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are a bit of a back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, gross. Well, welcome back. At least we were potting today instead of like...
I know. This was a reprieve in my day of calls. Well, and I wanted to get a workout in. Again, you travel a couple of days, you don't. I did one workout, which I was proud of, but, I didn't honor it. So I was like, I got to squeeze in a workout. So I had 1 hour. That's why I look hideous today, because it's like I had 1 hour and I like ran and got a quick workout in and then came back. And I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to look gross the rest of the day.
You and I had the same energy today. I was going to take a shower and get ready, and I just did dry shampoo because I worked out before this, and then I want to walk after. And my workout before was pretty pathetic too. When you're like, I was half doing things like answering emails, half cleaning the garage, half working out. I was
Yeah.
just a little distracted.
The multitasking during a workout's a disaster. You got to just book, even if it's a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, but it was
time.
on purpose. I wasn't motivated,
Oh,
so
you
it was
weren't- yeah, you
kind
weren't
of like,
feeling it. Yeah.
ooh, I'll do this instead. What
But
else
at
could I
least,
do?
you know what? Let's celebrate every win. You did something.
True. I moved.
Round up.
Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
Let's get into the topic.
Let's do
How
it.
do you want to structure it? Do you have a vision?
I do.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, I only have a small list in front of us.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I was kind of thinking, so going back to thinking about Indris Interiors, we used to
Okay, we have to explain that a little bit. Indris
Well,
is
it was
our
just-
maiden last name.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the name. Yes.
So Indris Interiors, we both had the last name. That's neither of our last names now because we took our husband's last name.
Good point. Good call out.
I regret that because no one can pronounce Dirksen.
Well, Indris isn't
we are
that
where
much
we are.
better. It's like
Nobody
Indris.
mispronounced it. I mean, it was unique and a little bit weird and a little too close to the word undress.
Yeah.
But
That brings me back
Dirksen,
to like 7th grade.
Dorksen. I mean, Dirksen, Dorky. It's like it's tough.
The way it's pronounced, Dirksen, is really a nice name. The way it's spelled, Dorksen, is really tough.
Well, when I married him, I thought about keeping Indris, and honestly, I kind of wish I would have. But I like having the same last name as my children. That's kind of the tricky thing.
I agree. I like the tradition of it. It's
so I moved Indris to my middle name. But I asked Chris, like, I don't mind Dirksen, but can we change the spelling? And he did not like that question.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Like,
can you even do that? Like, that seems like weird.
I mean, if you can change your last name, why couldn't I just? Because I want it to be spelled Dirk.
Yeah.
Sen. It would be a nice, clean, tight name. It'd sound the same.
Yeah.
But apparently that's going against time-honored traditions, his heritage. It's disrespecting his ancestors. So
I get it. I was thinking
it didn't get the green light.
Yeah.
And so now I suffer through a lifetime of Dorksen.
Well, I'm really sorry for your last name. Let's circle back because we took a real tangent there. Let's get back to what we
also,
were
though, I have
about.
Grace came home the other day for the first time and said someone bullied her and called her Dorksen on purpose.
See? Yeah.
And I was like, honey, get used to it. This is the first of many. Thicken that skin. It's happening.
You can do it with any name. My last name is
easy.
Pizzuti, and people are like, pizza, and it like kind of is like just a bit much.
Okay, but pizza versus dork?
Yeah, but I really wanted to name Lily.
Oh, pizza face, I guess, for
I
acne.
know. I really wanted to name her Olive. I thought that was the cutest name. And I was like, I can't do that to her because she's going to be Olive Pizza. And then if she has acne, that's tough. So
yeah.
It could be spun any name. Name.
You put the UTI in Pizzuti.
Good one.
That's where my bullying mind goes.
Yeah. See, you really took it there.
Yeah, just brainstorming. Okay, back to the topic at hand.
Back to the topic.
Regroup.
So we started for fun our own business, Indris Interiors, which was really helping our friends and family redesign their houses. Well, hold on.
Okay.
The whole concept, though, was people who don't want to pay for a full designer to do the whole thing. And they want it more affordable. We wanted to come in and spruce up their place in their own time with their own budget and use some of the things they already have, like a realistic way of really helping you redesign your space. Okay, you go.
I was just going to give it a little color commentary, which was, it all started because you were moving from LA to Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, hey, I would love your help, Kate. Like, I know that you love design stuff and I could really use that. And here's our budget for the whole house. It doesn't feel big enough for all the things, but also we have this house and like trying to make it my home.
Totally. And we were moving from a tiny apartment condo to a house, like a
big
4-bedroom house. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We had not enough furniture.
Well, so then I was like, ooh, fun. So then I went in to Canva. I started making mood boards, between Pinterest and Canva. I started putting together some looks and then it was just fun for me. So then I said, okay, this is a mood board I like, but here's how we could go this way, or this way. Which of these moods is right? Don't worry about the specifics yet, but like, what's the vibe? Right. So then anyways, through this process, you and I had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also, I think, just sold the company or about to, so ... half checked out and like was open to a side hustle for the first time.
Yeah, you had more time on your hands And
Yeah.
we started to get like a lot of my friends would come over to my
Who
house,
saw
like my
the
new
house and it
friends.
looked great.
Yes.
So it all happened very organically. It's not like you and I set out to start an interior design business. It's your home turned out great.
Right.
Your friends came over and said, "Ooh, would your sister help me?" So then
Yeah.
you called and you said, "Hey, can you help so-and-so? Can you help so-and-so?" And then finally I was like, well, I don't want to do the client services side of it. I don't want to have to talk to them.
No. Did you say that, or did I watch you talk to somebody? I was like, she can't do this.
I didn't have the time or patience to do the hand holding.
I think I brought this story up before, but we would do even like FaceTime consultations with my friends. And so I'd have you on FaceTime and I'd walk around the space that they wanted to redesign and we would talk about it. They were in the room and you would be like, disgusting. What were they thinking?
Oh
with
my
that?
God, you make me sound like such a bitch. I wasn't that. I was just like, oh,
there were
that
some
might
moments
need to go.
Yeah, there were some moments I was like, well, I'll talk to him. We'll get back. We'll circle back.
We'll circle. Hey, there were some honest truths that needed to be said to some of those.
You weren't wrong. It had to be like there was.
I don't think I was that tactless. I think I said, I feel strongly that we should try to find you a new couch because that's going to be tough to work around.
Yeah, I think there was like a lot of like, that's tough, like.
Well,
anyways, it was
one thing did to the next, but we did it for a year. Had a dozen or so clients. It was totally fun. We made very little money.
Yeah. We realized it wasn't a great business plan either, just because people who don't want to spend a lot don't want to spend a lot.
Perhaps we could have seen that coming. Well, I had a little bit of an ulterior motive because I was like kind of starting to think about my next business and I was like, ooh, AI for interior design feels obvious. Like, I wonder if there's something here. Right. And then as I started to think through that business, I mean, one, yes, it will be here. It already, you're starting to see them come out. But I was just like, I don't feel that mission alignment to that business. I didn't want to work on it.
Well, it's not changing the world. However, to our podcast topic today, it is helping people, because when I am in a space that I'm liking, or even just moving around furniture, doing little things to tweak or update my space, I feel so good. I just like, and it really,
there's a little magic in it. There's a little magic in a great home, comfortable, thoughtful space.
And like for me, I was definitely the front of the house, as we joke. But your tips and tricks that you taught me along the way, and I'm really good at, if you give me 2 or 3, I like this or this.
No, you're a great editor.
I'm a great editor. I can say, no, it's this one, or no, I like this one. Yeah, but I need your bigger picture. Yeah. And so I just thought it would be really fun to bring that to this podcast, because let's start with like kind of small changes. Like if you make some small changes in your space, it's super powerful. So maybe we could talk through a couple of those things. Which
are you thinking like rearrange furniture, or are you thinking paint a room?
Both. I think both are like, I can paint my own room. That seems very feasible for somebody to do, even over a weekend, if they choose to do it in that moment. Or paint one wall, or rearrange furniture, or switch up a couple accents in the room. Let's start there. That's like my thought.
Well, I like the theme of like, this doesn't have to be a huge budget endeavor to freshen the space. I'm 100% believer in that. I mean, the lowest hanging fruit for me is changing upholstery. So a new pillow. Yeah. I also, again, I do not have a green thumb, but with plants, or like I do faux plants, but again, seasonal changing of the plants really makes me feel different in the space.
Yeah. So you've given me a couple tips, but why don't you start here with changing a pillow? And I never say that word correctly. Did I say it right? I always said pillow.
No.
Pillow?
Pillow. Ew. It has an I, not an E.
Changing a pillow. What are your like go-to places that you like to look at? And you have said like, get the cover and then buy the filler on Amazon or whatever. What's the go-to there?
Well, just in general, I love Pinterest for the inspo of it all. So if you have an aesthetic you like, or you see a picture, take a screen grab, upload it to Pinterest, and then start looking at like images, and like start with not the specific item. I think some people get overwhelmed because they start going directly into shopping mode, and then there's 10,000 options and they go, I don't know. Yeah. Start with the vision board, the mood board, the vibe of it all. And that will be like a great starting place. Then once you have a direction, like, do you want to go more, I call it the amber interiors aesthetic, but it's like a little more vintagey, a little more print. Or are you going more West Elm CB2 clean and you just want more of a color palette shift? Like whatever your style is, any style can work here, but figure out your aesthetic. And I think Pinterest is the best tool to do that.
One thing you mentioned, which I didn't know before I started working with you, is the upload of the photo. I didn't know you could do that. I thought you just had to like type in cues of like, I want
saying the words.
Yes. You can actually upload a photo of inspiration either that you have taken from your phone or that you found online, and it will give you like-minded stuff. Totally. So that's huge. That was a huge game changer for me, which seems so small if you know it. Well,
and then it's so good at the visual search. So you have one thing you like, and then it can show you more. And that's, I think, a good segue into the shopping.
Yes.
The other thing I love upholstery from Etsy. One, I found a couple shops, and we could link a few of, small businesses. I feel I love to do that when I can. Yeah. And I feel like upholstery is an easy place, whether it's curtains, whether it's pillows. But you can pretty much find any aesthetic on there.
Yeah.
And they're well priced. They'll mail it to your door. So I always prefer that over like an Amazon. Even though an Amazon or a Wayfair have a billion options too.
Well, and here's what you told me, which was we would go to Target or anywhere locally that's super affordable and get a couple pillows that are the basics, the ones that are a little bit bigger, maybe not the statement piece, but like
the cream or
the creams or whatever.
Stripe.
And then you would get one or two from Etsy that no one has seen before. And so when people come into your space.
To me, they look more luxurious. To me, they look more expensive.
And they're intrigued because you just need the pop. You don't need all of them to be something unique. You just need one or two. And if they're just covers, you just go to Amazon, which I know we were just promoting small businesses, but you can get the inserts for so cheap.
I get all the inserts at Amazon.
And your trick for pillows is get the size bigger. So if you're doing a 20 by 20 like cover, your pillow needs to be at least 21 by 21 or 20.
I go 24. I go 24 in a 2020.
So that was key.
I also love to mix up the size of the pillow. So like one big, one medium, one lumbar or something like that. So you can kind of create sets of 3.
Layering.
Layer it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll link some of my favorite pillow shops or upholstery places, which I love. There's also like, you can get so much cool custom. There's so many fabrics. So anyways, but again, start from your inspo. That will like make it less overwhelming.
Yeah.
Curtains can also make such a big difference. And again, there's cheapies off Amazon that help.
Well, I actually think the accessories we were starting to get on Amazon because those are where you can get the accessories like the hanging, like the actual hooks and the rods to hang your curtains. And then we were using, and there's a Pottery Barn we'll link to, but there was like a Pottery Barn and different ones that are really nice, but they're classic and not expensive and in pairs. So you can really update your curtains quickly. And what is the rule of thumb for curtains? Because you can, even if you don't buy new accessories, update your curtains by, what's the rule of thumb?
Well, one thing that I realized so many people had done poorly was curtain placement. So I think 12 out of 12 of our clients needed this advice, but you hang that rod as close as you can to the ceiling.
Or the crown molding, but all the way up. Yeah.
All the way to the ceiling, way above the actual window. And then that curtain must touch the floor. Do not have a curtain with gap between the bottom of the curtain and the floor. I couldn't stand that. So I pretty much made all of our clients prioritize getting curtains that elevated the space. It makes your space feel so much bigger. So much bigger. Yeah. And so again, hardware doesn't need to be expensive. Get that on Amazon. And again, if you're going white or you're going basic, but again, if you're going to refresh for spring, this is a fun way to do that refresh.
It makes the space look so much better. So it's go to the ceiling, go out wider than the window or the door, whatever
as wide and tall as you can, I always say.
Yes. And then make the curtain go to the floor. Rule of thumb, never ever do it differently, and it will automatically update your space instantly. I loved it.
I also love just rearranging shelves. And like if I don't have, Chris gets on my case about the amount of pillows and the amount of stuff, and I have enough stuff, but I'll move them from room to room to sort of have a different look. And again, you can shop your own home. Like a lot of times, even with people we worked with, like I would go around their house and like find things that were cool that they had and pull them
100%.
into, and even like I love like using old records or
Mm-hmm.
family photos and, maybe again, get a bigger frame or you can kind of change some stuff around there.
Yeah, I loved getting cheap frames from any store, TJ Maxx, like any of those types of stores, even Amazon, Target.
Home
You
Goods
can
is good
Home
for
Goods
all that kind of stuff.
get different frames. There you can get unique frames, but they're inexpensive. So it's an instant way to update. I also loved I didn't think about this too, but there were prints that I had or artwork that the kids made, or actually our niece was a better artist. So I actually use her stuff in spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I just got really nice frames for things that I already had and it put on the shelf and it means something to me and it
Yeah.
looks nice and you're layering it. So it's not the centerpiece. It's like
you
the
can
back
kind of
layer.
see my
Yeah, your shelves are so good.
well, and these are kind of fun here. And again, I changed these. This is another thing that I'll change. These are scarves that our grandma Mary had, and I just framed them.
In the pictures. Yes.
I framed scarf, and these are just like not too expensive West Elm frames.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to have the kids' art in there, so I will change out what's in there. But yeah, just like frame a textile that you have.
What was while we're on to pictures?
Or like a piece of fabric that you love. But again, I think it's more special when it has a little meaning. So for me, I like looking at these because I can remember our grandma always having a scarf.
Yeah. Well, printing out at Walgreens or CVS family photos, mixing and matching colors to black and whites, doing like those types of textiles that you already have in your closet. And then we used to do a lot for our clients. We would go to minted.com and get prints that we liked because they were affordable. And then you could buy the frames, the matching frames. Do you remember where the frames are from?
A lot of times, if it was really big, I would do Amazon.
Yeah.
A nicer frame place that I like is FrameBridge. It's an online, but you can get like big sizes.
Mm-hmm.
You can get frames on Minted too, and it comes like easy, but I just thought they were a little bit more expensive. So sometimes I didn't want to do the budget there, but it's a good place for like large art.
Yeah.
And again, Etsy, or like find artists on Instagram that you like and then see if they have prints and sort of, I feel like I like things that I feel drawn to or that mean something to me. It's not just like a boring landscape or something that you could, I don't know, see I refuse to buy art at like a West Elm Pottery Barn. Yeah.
One thing for sure is, especially with art, it takes time. This is not going to be something you do overnight because you're not going to find every item that you absolutely love overnight. Yeah. So take your time. But I just think going space by space, what is like the key. So starting with your living room bookshelf, start there. Then move to like your couch and pick a color, like pillow or one pillow even that you want to replace, or maybe all of them depending. Then go to your curtains step by step. This is over time. It's affordable to do it over time. Okay. So before we go back to pictures, because there is like a rule of thumb for hanging pictures, talk to me about layering the shelves, because that is like an art in and to itself. And I didn't have that skill set. So kind of talk about.
But again, go on to Pinterest. Or, I think Amber, I forget her last name. It's like Amber Interiors is like her business. Find these people, or Shay McGee is very good at a shelf. Find these people that post great shelfies and just try to actually like copy the exact composition.
Yeah.
I like have gotten, I think, good enough where I can just wing it. But like I'll have some books like flat this way. I'll have some standing up vertical. But again, you got to have some bigger stuff in the back and smaller stuff up front. And you try to do groupings of things. And then again, like you want to mix it up. Okay, I'm going to move this entire group to a different room or bring something new in here.
I like that. Vertical and horizontal stacking is key, doing both. Mixing a lot of different varieties of things. Obviously, vases,
and a lot of people
picture
just
frames,
had too much
books,
shit. Like a
candles.
lot of it was just editing. Like I would go to people's homes and I'd be like, okay, we're going to pare this down so it like looks better. So like we don't need every book out.
Yeah. Take everything off the shelf, then start from scratch with the stuff that you've just taken off. But like
shop your house. We would find the coolest stuff in people's homes.
Yeah.
And then bring them into a shelf. And I feel like one of the best piece of feedbacks we got was just people going, I love that thing, and I never knew what to do with it. And I
Yeah.
love how, now I see it every day. And it's like that
Mhm.
for me was like the joy of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So get a variety of things, scale way back, textures, mix textures and colors and sizes.
Mhm.
To your point, layering again with the same concept of the pillow layering is the shelf layering. It's like have a leaning picture in the back.
Yeah.
Are you making fun of how I said pillow again?
Mhm.
Have a picture leaning in the back with a couple things in front of it that are smaller, and it looks really visually much
Yeah,
better.
much better. And I love plants. So if they're faux, I actually do think Pottery Barn does a nice faux plant. There's a couple
Mhm.
on Etsy that I went to. These don't have to be super expensive.
Yeah,
And again,
we'll again
I
link
like
them.
real. I love real. If you're the kind of person that can not kill it, sadly, I just can't commit to that. It's too much commitment for me. So,
I mix and match that. So we have a lot of real plants around,
oh
but I
yeah, your
also
obsession last week was a plant, wasn't it?
yes, and they're very low maintenance. You can get some low
Mm-hmm.
maintenance one for the house, and the big trees or whatever are great. But then you can mix it with like I've got a couple on my shelf that are real, and I have a couple that aren't throughout the
Yeah.
house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the ones on a high shelf that I found this really great one that is just fake and it looks great. And then I have another one that's kind of a crawling ivy that's real and it just is thriving with not a lot of help. So I think mixing the real and the fake is super important too.
Yeah, and that's just to me seasonal flora and fauna just make it feel
Yeah. I also
so fresh.
improved my house greatly with cheap rugs.
Yeah.
You or value rugs, let's say, because cheap sounds bad. You helped me so much because we have kids, we have dogs. There is a time
Mm-hmm.
and place for more expensive items like a rug, but just not in our main living area do I need something that's super expensive because I would be worried about the wear and tear.
I
So,
know. I am a sucker for a unique antique rug that's very expensive. So
mhm,
like if I could blow if someone has a big budget, I love to do that because to me it adds so much character to the room.
totally.
But it's not realistic for a lot of people. It's not realistic in every room in my home. So I have some really beautiful antiques that I'll use in smaller spaces, but in the big ones.
Mhm,
But you can get like a great neutral Cecil rug
mhm.
for not very much. And then I really do like Loloi, Loloi, has done really good collaborations with different designers. So
Yes.
Chris Loves Julia has a great collaboration. I'm a sucker for Jean Stouffer. She's like one of my favorite designers, more traditionalist. Some
Mhm.
of her stuff like is a little bit too traditional for me, but I think her style is great. And her rug collection's great.
Yeah.
Amber Interiors did one with Loloi. There's a lot of good stuff there.
I have
And
2
you can
of
buy these
those.
on Wayfair. You can
Yes.
buy them. There so many places sell it.
Mhm.
And it's just like, again, there's great options of different palettes. So even subbing out a rug seasonally
Mhm.
doesn't need to be super pricey.
Well, and I will say, so I have 2 of those rugs, different ones, and
Mm-hmm.
one in the playroom I've replaced twice since we've moved in. We've been here over
Yeah.
5 years. So it was cheap enough, like it was like $300 for a huge rug for me to replace it
Yep.
every 2.5 years or so
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the heaviest place for the dogs and kids to play. And I just, it's like even if I got the same one, I've switched up the colors a little bit just for fun. They're so
But please
cool.
don't get your rug too small. This is probably with the curtains, my other like
Yeah.
all the front of the furniture needs to be on that rug. Go bigger if you're not sure. When in doubt, go bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I
100%.
also, a friend of a friend started Ernesta, which I just think it was the guy who started Peloton actually. His new company is this custom cut rugs,
Okay.
but you can customize the size. So if you have a funky space, I hear a lot of people go, I don't know what to do. I got this weird, I'm always like, I already know the answer. It's going to be a custom cut rug.
And
It's
that's
a little more pricey than like a low light cheapie,
was
but
just
they're
gonna
really
say.
nice quality. They're not crazy. It's not like some luxury price point.
Okay.
It's kind of a medium. Probably the same price as like a West Elm rug or something in that range.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, you can say, I need this size 10 foot 7 inches, and I want this size,
Mm-hmm.
so you can get the exact thing, which works great if you have like a slightly funky space. Or like we have an entryway that needs a square, but like a slightly different square. So, anyways, I did it for their custom
Yeah.
cut.
Here's 2 things that I learned from you too, which was okay, obviously in the same way you do Pinterest, you can copy a screenshot into your like Google, whatever, and you can find that same rug at multiple places it's sold and find it for the cheapest. So like a
Yeah.
lot of times Wayfair or some of those other similar companies will be selling the same rug, and there'll be a discount on, rugs.
You know what's really good for this? ChatGPT. I was playing around with it the other day looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
They recently released some like e-com features, but it's basically you can upload your screenshot and say, show me pillows like this,
Mm-hmm.
and it will just give them to you. So it's almost like the Google image or the ChatGPT can be like a really good discovery engine.
Love that. I haven't used it for that, but now I will. But it will give you prices. But you also were doing this too for if you found the design of something you really loved, but it was super expensive. So let's say you found a dresser for $10,000 that you were obsessed with by Pinterest. You could put that same image in and get a bunch of different ones in your price range. And it was like similar looking. Yeah. That was such a hack that I like was obsessed with.
And again, don't sleep on Etsy. Like I have our kitchen table. Really, I fell in love with an Amber Interiors table, but it was like $14,000. And I'm like, that wasn't in the cards for us. Yeah. And so I went on Etsy and I found a woodworker that was making stuff that I thought was good. But anyways, I ended up getting this table for like, I think it ended up being $2,000. But real wood, really nice. Yeah. Something that we'll have forever. So anyways, I just like Etsy, you can find these great craftspeople. And I think this guy was even in Chicago, but he had like clients all over and he delivered it. It wasn't insane. So,
well, and
just finding like, but again, start with what you want, start with the vision, and then you can start doing your research down.
Well, and I also really appreciate having some things in your house be more expensive than others. And so it's like my dining room table is not as expensive as yours, but I spent a little bit more on that, and our couch because we're on the couch all the time. But the dining room chairs, which I'm obsessed with, I just got super cheap though, but we found a look that I loved. And again, it's about mixing and matching price.
I think that was like, we like the Restoration Hardware ones, but then we found the dupes.
100%. And it's like, my kids spill on those sometimes, and I'm just not as worried. And if I had the Restoration Hardware, I would be a little bit crazier. And it's like, that's, again, I'm not in my lifestyle right now with kids and dogs. So it's really, I liked those hacks because it makes me love my space, but it also makes my space livable.
I also am a sucker for burning candles. I don't know if you want to change the vibe or you need a little refresh, like it's amazing what a different smelling candle like can change the vibe of the home.
Yeah. A candle. I will say this has nothing to do with design, but Pura, have you seen those plug-in candles? It's like the whole thing is you can get new scents sent to you monthly, or you can just buy them online. But it's a plug-in that's an app on your phone. And so you can time different scents to go. So I have.
What does this thing look like? I worry when I hear plug-in that this is going to be a monstrosity.
You can't even see it. You've never noticed it. I hide it in plugs that are like behind furniture-ish or whatever. Okay. But it basically has home scents. And so you have 2 different scents in each one. And I have 3 around my house. And it goes off like Monday.
You have such a good nose too.
I do too. I know I do too. Yes. Thank you.
Well, I was saying you do. I don't.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
There's not a 2 here. You do. Like, I don't.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it goes off in the morning at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. when we wake up, and it goes off at 4 p.m.
Maybe
so it's
I'm
like
old school, but I love striking the match. I love the fire. I like the pyro of it.
Have a candle, but use this if you really want a smell in your house.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
It's great.
Yeah. Like if I need a vibe, like if I'm like feeling a certain kind of way and I'm like, I got to change my mood. I'm like a pyro, but I'm like, give me that candle.
Yeah. One thing to pivoting slightly is furniture rearranging.
Yep.
And you said shop your house. We had a chair in our bedroom that we weren't using as much, and we moved it out to the living room, and it looks great. And I never thought about it for that space. My old baby chair, rocking chair that was upstairs in one of the kids' baby rooms, we were going to get rid of it when we didn't need it anymore since I wasn't breastfeeding. We moved it down to the playroom.
I'll take full credit for that. I told you that's a nice chair. That would look good downstairs.
I give you full credit for my whole
Okay.
house,
Okay.
just so you know.
Good.
And it is a little crippling though, because now that I have you, I like try to make a basic decision and I'm like, wonder what Kate would do. And I like have to like run it by you for all things. It's a little annoying, but
I don't hate that.
yeah, but it's good. But you know, we moved in our playroom. When you walk in, we used to have a couch and a little piece of like toy, you know, kitchen and a little area. And it's nicer stuff. It looks good. You help me make it look good. But I have pivoted the furniture around in that room based on just like changing it up. Couch goes on the other wall. Chair comes down. Now I have space for the chair. It's made a much better sitting situation for people to kind of hang out in. It made such a difference. Yes, but it made such a difference. I changed up the rug. I changed the direction of the couch and brought a chair down. I did do a little like cleanup of the toys, just so it was a little like less clutter.
Well, I love a basket. I love a good basket solution.
Okay, let's move on, because I do think we've talked a lot about little changes that make a big difference. The last thing, there were tips for the curtains, but also pictures. So when you're hanging pictures, do you remember your rule of thumb? I wrote some down from what you said, if you don't remember off the top of your head.
No, what are you talking about?
So when you're hanging a picture, you said there are a couple things you have to follow, which is if you're hanging a big piece of art on a wall that has nothing under it, the rule of thumb is from the center of the piece of art going 57 to 60 inches below, like up to the floor. So in the middle of the art, that is the distance from hanging a photo on a basic wall, unless you have.
I didn't know if you were thinking gallery wall or something.
No, this is just basic hanging. So that was one thing that now I always do. And I know
people always hang their TVs too high too.
Yeah.
Lower that sucker.
And if you are going over furniture, so like entryway, mirror, entryway art, going 6 to 12 inches above the furniture was key. So I think it was more around 6, depending on what it is. Like a mirror can go a little higher.
Depends how tall it is. You need it to be tall enough, but
yeah. But those are two things that now I constantly do.
Yeah, creating little vignettes. Yeah, hanging art was an easy. Just fixing the spacing of art too. I felt like some people had like weird, like all over the place kind of. I was like, what are we doing here? This doesn't feel organized.
I know you think that the artwork, when you're hanging like 2 or more pictures, they have to be closer together than people think.
Yeah, they're right. People, I feel like, space them out too much. I'm like, no, create a little vignette, like right here. Just make this area look perfect. Don't don't worry about all the other space. Anyways, we might be getting too niche there. Here's the problem. When you have a decent design eye, all I want to do is fix my house up in a million ways. But that pesky little budget kind of comes in and you have to like have more of a plan. So
let's talk about your home projects then. Let's pivot to like,
so we moved into a home, like a kind of a 90s, I'd say cookie cutter-ish suburban home. So like my whole thing is like, I just have to continue to find ways to add more personality. And there was some glaring issues when we first moved in. Like the lighting to me was total medieval times. It was like that ornate iron rod, so dated. Where's my turkey leg? Nightmare.
Love a turkey leg. Hate that look.
So I think I had to prioritize lighting as like one of the first things to get this place looking better. And lighting makes a huge difference, but it's expensive. So that took a bit. I would say too, again, we moved into a much bigger home. So we just also had to spend the first couple years budgeting to fill out the space with furniture.
Yeah.
So that took time. We used everything from our old home, but that took some budget. I have so many things I want to fix though.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm chomping at the bit is I just want to refinish the floors. Chris is very against this, partially because he's so practical. Here's the problem. My husband doesn't. He's like, it's perfect. Our home is perfect. And I'm like, we do have a lovely home and I don't want to be ungrateful for it. But like when you can see it, you can't unsee. I can't unsee it.
You have a particular design eye that
I know. And so I've started giving him a new speech, which is, this is my sanctuary too. Even if you can't understand. Even if you can't understand this, like this brings me joy. And he's just like, we don't need this. We don't need this. I'm like, we do though.
Listen, I'm not saying
is this every marriage in the
well,
country?
I was just going to say a lot of husbands think of this. I'm sure there are some out there that are super into design and just have a better, I don't know, look Phil loves when it's completed, but he has a hard time envisioning. And he's like Chris, where he's like, do we really need it?
Do we really need it? I hate that question. It's like, no.
And it does take time, and I have to like settle in, but I have really kind of talked him into like one project a year. Like, and I'm talking bigger projects.
Well, that's what I do too.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, if something is super expensive, like our kitchen, we bought a 25-year-old house, which we're obsessed with, but it was bad flooring, bad kitchen. And we had always talked about wanting to update it over time. So after 2 years, we finally redid the kitchen, and it was,
that was a huge project.
It was a huge project.
Total game changer.
And so we haven't done anything since, because it was just such a like, okay, that's a 3, if not more,
but
year.
Then the universe delivered for you.
So now my next project has been, I've really wanted to paint the exterior of the house. We have brick, and it's pretty, but the way ours is a little bit less traditional.
It's a dated brick.
It's a dated brick. It's not a pretty brick, and it's multicolored. And so, long story short, our roof got attacked by hail in the last storm, and insurance is going to pay for our roof. I'm so excited. So we're getting a brand new roof for free, essentially.
Yeah.
And
you don't understand how insurance works, I see, but yeah, totally for free.
Yeah, totally for free. But, in my mind, it's free. And so that sparked, I really have always wanted to do the exterior. What color of the roof do we want to match the future exterior? Long story short, we are going to be able to paint our house as the big project this year.
I'm excited for you guys.
I'm so excited. It's going to update so much. But like, these are things that like we'll probably have to wait another 3 years to do any kind of project.
That's a big ticket item. That's a big ticket item.
Yeah.
So, well, here's the problem with ours. Again, I have a punch list that includes floors. I want new hardware on all the doors internally. I have some furniture that needs to get replaced. But the problem is I keep having the most annoying things happen that we have to spend the full budget for. So like our fence broke. I'm like, a fence? No, that's so boring. I don't want to spend the budget on that. But like, you can't have a fence that's like falling down. So anyways, we used the budget for the fence, and it was the lamest.
You always have to consider owning a home is just annoying. It's like the HVAC goes out sometimes. That is pricey. You have to factor in these things that are gonna happen.
We had some pool equipment that wasn't working. I was like, God, these are boring. But I have this year, my project this year that again is like not a huge budget because it's just not the year to do a big ticket item like the floors, is I'm replacing a few of the outdoor lanterns. I already have them picked out. I've had them pinned for years. I've been patiently waiting for the time to bite.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to upgrade some of the outdated lanterns into ones that I think are prettier. So that's the only thing I'm going to get done this year.
That'll be nice though. I like that.
Yeah. Interior hardware could be next if it's like a smaller one. But again, it's like it's a relatively, I might even start room by room there because it might be too big of a budget item to do all at once.
I think room by room is kind of it. And because we're doing the exterior paint, which I'm just like thrilled for, everything else is like, we're not going to do it. So instead of like, I had kind of had an updated visual for my outdoor porch.
Yeah.
I just turned the couch a little bit and rearranged the furniture.
Good.
Outside on our patio, instead of getting something new, we just moved the grill and things to a different place, moved our table and chairs, power washed it. Feels brand new.
Great.
I got Amazon chair covers for outside, the like winter protector ones, but I just like updated those because they were kind of like
crummy
looking. Yeah. And it was such a small thing, but those are the things that are bringing me a lot of joy because the big ticket item is going to take up all the budget for me from a like updating things that I've also had a list going for eventually.
I do need a new couch. Unfortunately, is like going to like the couch we've had for 12 years. It's reaching a point where I'm like, it's becoming hard to look the other way. And I know we had kids, and for a long time I just said, just wait a little bit longer because the second I get a new couch and I look over and Calvin's like spilling yogurt on it or something. So it's like, but it is reaching in my mind like a fever pitch kind of place. So I would love to do new rug, 2 new chairs, new couch, like new layout in the living room, but it starts adding up. So it's a little bit like, might have to do
it over time, pick and choose.
But again, I think this year is just going to be lanterns. That's going to have to be 2026 is new living room.
All right. Well, to close out design, So are you into paint or wallpaper or both? What's
Well,
your
wallpaper is way more expensive,
Mhm.
in general. And even the cheapy
The stick and glue?
DIY peel and stick,
Mhm.
it's pricey.
Mhm.
Plus putting that on is hellacious.
Mhm.
Can't recommend low enough. Um, so I like to do small spaces. And like I would
Mhm.
love, we have this powder bath. It would be the perfect place for like a beautiful, ornate, like really printed
Mhm.
wallpaper.
Yeah.
So that's on my punch list. So I like wallpaper for small spaces. It can totally transform a room. So like in the kids' rooms, if you don't have a budget for like wallpaper all over, just doing, I like one wall behind the bed
Mhm.
as like an accent. Cause again, I think you get so much personality.
Yeah. Well, and you
Um,
did the peel and stick in there, and I'm sure it was kind of a bitch to put up, but it does look good now.
It
And
looks good. And it was, we did it ourselves on the peel and stick. There was nothing easy about it, truthfully.
yeah.
It's like lining up, especially if you got a print, like lining up the print is like, it gets off. And again, if anything's off, I can't stand it. So
Well, and
it
part
took
of the
forever.
issue is real wallpaper is easier because you can move it because you
Hmm.
have that like, whatever it is, the glue or whatever that puts it on there, but you move
Yeah.
it for a while before it hardens. With the peel and stick, you just have to keep peeling and peeling and peeling until it gets perfectly right, and it's just really hard to do it. So I did the
Yeah.
peel and stick once and I'll never do it again. But I have decided like just a refresh or an accent wall of paint because paint is much easier for me to do. We
I
painted
really don't love an accent wall of paint. This is the problem. I'm like,
in
I
a
want
kid's
the,
bedroom though. I really am like liking that we can just do like one accent wall.
because you just have that green wall behind Ace's bed, right?
It's
Or is
blue
his whole
now.
room? It's blue
Yeah,
now.
it's
Okay.
blue. It's a
Yeah.
prettier.
Okay. His
Mhm.
is, and the way his room is, it actually works in that space. But in general, I'm like, no, paint the whole room.
Yeah.
Um, and paint, as long as the ceilings aren't high, is definitely doable. In fact, I just painted Grace's room partially because it was just getting nicked up from a bunch of stuff. And she's like,
Mhm.
does gymnastics and had her shoe marks all over the wall. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
So I finally gave her a fresh coat of just white paint. But again, the room looks
Looks so
night and
much
day.
better.
It looks
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah. And again,
Um,
something you can do over time. It may take you a little bit, but like you
well,
can
and for kids, we got her a hanging chair. It was not much. I think this hanging chair was like $50 or less. I'll have to look,
Mhm.
but I don't
Mhm.
think I don't remember it being too pricey.
Mhm.
And now she has like a reading nook in her room, and her room feels very special. And so Calvin's now wanting one, and he's like saving up his money to buy one, which I think is really cute. But
Yeah.
like,
They like
again,
to
you
update
find a
their
stud
rooms
in the
too.
ceiling and you hang this chair, and the kids absolutely love it. And it feels really special.
Yeah.
So that was like an easy refresh for their rooms, I thought, this year.
They love to update their rooms. For Ace's
Yeah.
birthday, we kind of got these framed. I found posters really cheap on Amazon of famous golf places, but like
Mm-hmm.
Pinehurst and Augusta. And we framed them for
Oh,
very
cute.
inexpensive. And they're huge. And we put them on his wall, and he has a little putting like area
Yeah.
where it's just like a cheap putting, green that we put up and he loves it. But
Yeah.
it made it feel very special because it looks like, because of the prints and the theme, it just like kind of goes. And he just loves art, like sports and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
we found all of these old pennants in Phil's collection when his mom dropped off all his crap. But at least we found these that are so nice. And they're like sports pennants. And we hung those up around his room. And it
That
feels
his room
so
looks awesome now.
special.
Yeah.
But he loves it too. He loves to update stuff. And it was these small things that were very inexpensive that make him feel like his room is special.
I love an OG bulletin board in the kids' room.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like to refresh, we just sub out the art, or we just
Yeah.
sub out a couple pictures.
Yeah.
As they're into different things, I'll even just find one online and print it out and put it up in their room.
Love
So
that. Yeah.
having and Grace is really, for a while she was obsessed with sloths, and it had again, if you're going to be obsessed with sloths, keep it on that bulletin board. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sloths are acquired taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now as her, she's into different sports and whatever, she'll
Mm-hmm.
update that. So anyways, I think that's a nice way to keep it fresh.
That's cute.
Yeah.
One other thing too, you gave me the idea, but we kind of have this play area den.
Mm-hmm.
And in that same bin of Phil's stuff, we found a bunch of different things like old tickets and sporting events that he went to that he like collected and kept over time. And his mom is super special, but she kept a lot of stuff. That's not everybody.
Including his rat tail. I want to get that on the record. He had a book with a piece of hair in it that made me gag.
It was what do you call, like the collage books where it's just like baby books where it was like all these pictures of him as a child.
Sick.
And it was the cutest thing. And I was looking through it and I flipped the page and saw a braided rat tail. And he was like, that's my actual hair. I was like, oh my gosh,
nasty.
Hilarious. I move on. But you had me frame some of those special tickets from events he went to as a child, and we have those in the den. They're so cool.
I know. Like, get creative about stuff that you frame. I feel like you can frame anything.
Yeah. All right. We are running long. The last thing I'm going to say, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, is when in doubt, organize too. I know you're going to make fun of me for that, but my space feels so much different when I organize something that's kind of driving me nuts. And it may not even be, even if you don't have my personality, you may not even know it's driving you nuts. But when you organize it, start with the pantry or the refrigerator. Do things to like less is more, clean it out, get a couple cheap baskets. Do the pantry was such a big win for me. But I got a couple cheap baskets. I got a couple plastic bins. I know some people are against plastic. You can get glass. But I went over time to like the TJ Maxx here and got things that matched. And it was very inexpensive. And now I have my pantry that I've been dreaming of with like, you know, the cereal in the different bins and the like.
You've decanted everything. You move everything into another container, which is beautiful and a little bit of a pain in the ass to upkeep, but
it makes me
pretty.
feel
It makes
very
you feel
special.
great. I don't decant everything, but after that moth gate from last year, I now have like a very clean, more organized pantry with less stuff in it. I need to do more on the fridge. I think there's opportunity for improvement in the, like, instead of stuffing it full of stuff, like really cleaning that sucker out.
Well, and like same with the Pinterest on everything else. Pinterest, a couple like ideas and it'll just inspire you. Not that you need to do all of it, but you might decide you are the one who wants this like fruit section or how to organize your cheese, whatever. It doesn't matter. But like it does give you inspiration for how to do it. And
well, and the other thing on the toy organization is I'm a huge fan of I think I already blew it, toy rotation, which is if you're bringing toys into your main space, keep it relatively organized in a few bins and then rotate them so it's not all there. I feel like a lot of our clients too had just an overwhelming amount of kid shit. And I'm like, do you play with this? Do you play with this? And it's like, no, not really. No, not really. I'm like, then get it out of here.
Yeah.
And let's move a more reasonable amount in here and then swap them out.
Yeah.
That can really change the look of a space, especially if you're in a smaller place and you have kid stuff in a living room, for example. I'm like, toy rotation is the answer.
Yeah. I think it's so key.
And even us, like Cal had this huge crane. And I was like, it's time. Got that thing up, moved some other things down. He's now like playing with, a different building set that he hadn't played with for a while.
Well, in a couple months, you move it back down. Like, I think the toy rotation is super key. And again, cheap baskets that match are key there too, because just having them thrown in like, again, you don't have to have it be like cars with cars, or you can, but you don't have to have it matching everything. But just having a space for you to put it away and not see it all the time is super important, especially when that playroom is in your...
cheap on the basket though, because baskets, if you get a decent one, can last forever.
True. But so you don't have to spend a lot. Like,
I know, but some of the ones I see at Target, I'm like, I don't like those. Like, get a nice enough basket that can stand the test of time.
Yeah,
because you'll keep using it in different places, even as the kids get older and it's not for toys anymore. There's always a place for a good basket.
Yeah. Well, and just decluttering. Going through kid clothes is my nightmare. Going through my clothes is my nightmare.
I need to do that again, actually.
Yeah. But when you do it, it does feel great. Organization of the garage. We are the house that all the kids come and play in, and I love that. But I have to
I'm going to test you here. What is my closet rule? Did you retain it? Are you doing it?
No, I told you this before. I actually am.
I just want to hear it out of your mouth. Is it?
It's very good and way better than it was, but I wasn't doing one in, one out. I was buying a couple
one
things.
In, one out, people. No. One in, one out.
I wasn't doing that, but I will say it still looks very organized, and there's just like a couple bins that I need to go through and get rid of some stuff because I've like overdone the sweatshirts.
Of course you have.
Yeah, but I it's way better than it was before.
Well, and just don't accumulate. Donate it.
Yeah,
Sell
I agree.
I don't care, but one in, one out.
That just reminded me. I always giggle when I talk. There's so many husbands out there that like that meme that's like the guy standing with
What is
the
that?
blender. He's like, I'm risking my life to meet a stranger for $10 to sell this blender. Like
On
could be
Facebook
could be
Marketplace.
a killer. It could be somebody just wants a blender.
Totally.
Like, I always laugh at that one because I do see like and talk to so many of my friends who are like, yeah, I tried to sell this, but I'm not doing it. I'm gonna have my husband drop it off.
Well,
Anyways,
I will say Facebook Marketplace is awesome. Clean
you
out that
can't find a lot of
garage. I
stuff.
sold a bunch of garage stuff. Felt good.
Yeah, yeah.
Got rid
We
of the old bikes.
we have a neighborhood garage sale
Yeah, I love
twice a
that.
year.
Uh-huh.
It's great. And a lot of people in the area know about it. So it's not just our neighborhood and everybody. It's a good way to get rid of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Well, and
get
not just
stuff.
get rid of it, like throw it away. It's like, somebody else will really enjoy that.
100%. It's hard to do stuff
Well, and
with.
speaking of, Facebook Marketplace also can be an amazing place to pick up good finds on the furniture side.
Mm-hmm. Good
But
point.
you have to be patient.
Yeah.
Because if you go in there and just buy whatever, it's like, oof. Be
Also,
thoughtful. Be
pick it
thoughtful,
up.
people.
Pick it up with a partner. That's what I say. Safety wise.
You're nuts. You have a safetyism anxiety problem.
It's neither here nor there. That's not what this podcast is about.
Kind
All
of
right.
is, actually.
Well, let's move to In Matter. This was awesome. I know we're running late. We could go. Maybe we'll do another podcast on this topic and continue.
Well,
it.
obviously, you and I enjoy it, so it's easy to continue to
it.
yap about.
Well, and like I am giving you full credit. I've learned so many of these tips from you, and now
I don't even think
so
I'm
much
that good.
better.
I think I have a decent design eye, and I'm good at copying. I just find things online. I feel like a lot of people can do what I do, though.
But the tips and tricks is something I didn't know. So now that I have some of the tips you gave me and the tricks, I feel just more equipped to be able to do it on my own.
Yeah.
And it's like when I have passed that along to some friends who have asked, they're like, whoa, it's like a game changer. You don't even think about it.
But if you're not good, find a picture and copy it.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, screenshot it into the searches, chat GPT it, and it will give you
They have
cheaper
some
options.
tools now too.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually see the stuff in your space and visualize it and all sorts of stuff.
I have a hard time with some of those apps because I have been trying to visualize the exterior paint for some time, and a lot of them are not good yet. The interior ones I think are better, but it's like I still
the
don't
AR
have
where you can see the couch in your space, I think is helpful for some people.
Mm-hmm. Interior wall paint is easier. Interior wall paint is good. Exterior wall paint is not good.
I do like a company called Samplize.
Love them. Yes,
because you can get a big sticker of the actual paint on a thing, and then you can put it up without like having to paint. It's like a cheaper way to do paint samples.
Yeah, narrow down your color to a few different ones in the same family. Get the Samplize, put it up in your space. Then you'll be able to narrow it down to at least one or two, and then get an actual paint sample from the store or a very small amount and actually paint it because lighting is everything. But those are the 3 steps you need to do in order to paint your house. If you're like worried about painting something.
Well, I can't wait to see yours. I'm super excited for your project. That's a big one.
It's a big one. I'm super excited about the exterior, and it's going to change. It's a fun one because it changes things. You know how you said you update a fence, you update all these things. This changes the look of the actual house.
This is a real high payoff.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool. All right. What's your obsession?
Well, it's
also paint color.
No, it's garage organization. I've been really obsessed with. Yeah, I've been really obsessed with organizing my garage.
Okay.
And we have these things, the Rubbermaid tracking system. You can get it at Lowe's.
Are these the bins that hang from the ceiling kind of thing, or?
No, this is they do have that as well. But this is a tracking system that basically is a track that you nail into or screw into the wall. It's very easy to do. And you can get a couple of them. They have people like on Instagram or whatever, they're doing whole walls. You don't need to do a whole wall. We have a couple tracks. And it has like different hooks that you put into it very simply. And you can just hang the bikes. You can hang the scooters. You can hang the golf clubs. You can hang the different things. But it opens up your space in such a great way. And if you just take a second to put those on the wall and take a second to get a couple of those hooks, you can really make your garage organized in a way that like kind of gives you the Instagram, person or Pinterest look, but you don't have to go all out. Like some people already, they're doing the floors, they're painting the walls, they're doing all the stuff. It's like sometimes you
I
just need a
would
little
like
organization.
a epoxy garage floor at some point.
It's on my list. I can't
On the
wait,
list.
but I am waiting. It's going
On
to
the
be
list.
a little bit, but
Okay. Well, you
Mhm.
guys do, I think, get a lot of use out of your garage, which I also love. You guys work
Mhm.
out in there. You guys have different stuff. Like, I do feel like ours is turning a little bit into like a storage unit, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
fairly organized.
I think that we can, if we organize it, utilize the space way more than we're even using now, and that
Mhm.
excites me because we're outside all the time.
Yeah,
The kids are playing, we're working out, like you said, we have equipment in there. So if you just organize the space in a way, you'll use it more like an extension of the house. So that's great.
totally.
Anyways,
I had 2 obsessions. I couldn't narrow it down, so I just said, screw it. I'm going to do both.
all right, let's hear them.
Have you seen, well, I know you have because I sent it to you, that Forever 31 SNL
Yeah.
video? I'm still thinking about that. That was freaking hilarious. If you haven't seen it, take a beat. This was so spot on for every millennial, but it was like, basically there was like a cool girl who was like, I have a credit card in my pocket, and like wearing this like Coachella outfit. And then it was like, you're not in your 20s anymore. It's time for Forever 31. Every color of the bummer uniform, or like bummer rainbow. I don't know, but just like the way they were describing this aesthetic was hilarious.
And felt so like it's
I felt,
exactly right. You
oh,
felt seen.
it was like, you used to have your credit card in your pocket. Now you need a tote bag the size of Kansas. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
I did.
bags, the color palette, the oversized. I was like, oh, this is funny.
Yeah.
Well
it
done, SNL. Well
it
done.
brought me joy. Now I'm not this may be controversial. I'm not a big SNL person. I don't like really watching SNL, but the clips that
Some of the skits.
the skits, some of them are really good. This was one that's really good. And I
Yeah.
find that those make their way to me without having to watch the show.
Totally. I don't really
So,
watch it either, but
yeah.
that one got me. And again, a friend just texted it to me.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and maybe I'm just like on a beverage kick because I think I had a beverage obsession last week.
You
but
did.
I have
I
another.
tried it.
And
So last week you had said you put white balsamic vinaigrette in your
Yeah.
sparkling water.
Did you try it?
I was skeptical, very skeptical.
And
I did it, loved it. However, I overdid it once. And so there
Okay.
is too much,
There
in
is
my
too much.
opinion.
Okay.
Maybe it was the flavor of water I used because I didn't actually do
My
the same
favorite
for
is
you.
also the lychee flavored white
Yeah.
balsamic.
So I'm going to try to find that. But I did use it, and Phil likes it too. And so we've been doing
adds a little
sparkling
something.
water with a little
Yeah.
bit of it. It's delightful. So I'm
Good.
excited to hear
Oh,
about
I'm
this
so
one.
happy. Okay.
What's this one?
I know, like, my friends are, when I say this, they're gonna eye roll because I'm like, there's more nights now that I don't feel like heavy drinking.
Mhm.
Now, that said, I just had a couple dirty martinis the other night, so this is not a
Give and take.
every night thing. But some nights I'm just like, I don't know, I don't really feel like drinking a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a new like light drink.
Okay.
That is my new go-to. And again, I was at Della Rosa. Is this a chain? I think so. It's like an Italian place with my friend Courtney, and we just
don't
had
know
bellied
this
up to the
place.
bar.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually had ordered this drink. I had gotten a Paloma, but she got this. It's called a Hugo, and it's got
Okay.
Prosecco,
Okay.
which again, I would never order Prosecco.
Mm-hmm.
It's got elderflower liqueur or syrup,
Okay.
which again, none of these would have been like, ooh, that's me.
Yeah.
A good amount of soda water,
Mhm,
fresh
mhm.
mint. And I think this
Ooh.
is why it feels so springy. It's like that mint was like really powerful. And then a little lime.
Okay.
And this is an easy drinking winner. And
That
now
sounds
if
like
I just
something
want
I will like.
something kind of, yeah, it's like spritzy, I
Mhm.
would say,
Mhm.
but very delicious. Try a Hugo. And I will say, then I tried it at another bar. They knew exactly what it was. So I don't think it's like some,
Okay.
you know,
we're
you won't
just
have to
not-
bring the recipe. Go to a bar and order a Hugo.
Okay.
Thank me
We're
later.
not trendy. The Hugo's trendy. I haven't heard about
exactly.
this yet.
I'm
Okay.
sure this was 4 years ago for most people, but
Yeah,
I'd
it's
never
like
heard of it. It was new to me.
It's like the Aperol Spritz. I was like, I'm still obsessed with Aperol Spritz, but I do feel like that's dated. So
Well,
I
think,
need a new
maybe
one.
this is the new Aperol Spritz kind of vibe.
I love that. There was another one that mom and dad introduced us to when they got back from Spain with the dry vermouth, white dry vermouth with soda water and lemon. I don't know exactly, but that one was also well
I
known.
usually don't like vermouth, so again, but I might give it a whirl.
Yeah, I'll link this one too, just because it's kind of in the same family, and I was on a kick for a while, and it's their version of Aperol Spritz.
Well, my New Year's resolution was to drink more highballs. which is whiskey and Diet Coke.
Yeah, which I still love, by the way.
But that doesn't. That was a winter thing. I realized this is seasonal, so now my new one is drink more Hugos.
Okay, I like it. Thank you for that update. I will add it to my drink
Watch a
lineup.
funny video and drink a Hugo, and cheers to
home projects.
Home projects. Thank you. Good tie back.
I love it. Yeah, home projects over time.
All right. Let's wrap. Please sign up for our new app, sagehavenforkids.com, and join the wait list. Follow us on Instagram at Sage Parents. You can watch this on YouTube at Sage Parents. And rate us. Share this. Chat with your friends about all things Sage ecosystem. We really appreciate it.
And if there's any topics out there that you guys want us to talk about, send them our way, DM us. I get them at Sage Parents.
Let's do another. I like the Ask Us Anything kind of listener question. So yeah, do that. DM us on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Peace out. Lilas, Ann.